everyone. It's so strange to see people in a room together. I'll say that. So, congratulations on doing your homework early. The rest of us are stuck at home still doing it. I hope you are having a wonderful time in spite of the craziness that's happening all over the world. Um, I'm so honored to have the show with Ben Brown. Amanda, pay attention.
I'm paying attention.
Um, and as you all might know, I love working with Ben Brown Gallery, and this installation, which is pretty unique for me, where we collaborated with Helen Bannock, my studio manager, and also with a designer named Kendall Henderson to make it more of an installation than just an exhibition. We were inspired by Andy Warhol's money screen prints, and I wanted to actually go further as I looked at them, because I started to think about how much money has changed since the 60s. Of course, you know, there was not much exchange between the mainland of China and the United States then. In Hong Kong was much more, I think, even more integrated culturally with the West as far as popular culture, etc. And I've now been having exhibitions in South Africa and in Berlin and London, and one of the things that happened in Hong Kong, and one of the things that we start to deal with when we talk about selling art and artwork and making art is money and taxation, and all of a sudden the numbers change, and there's all of this weird I would say conceptual ideas about what it's worth, you know. So value becomes really conceptual when you're talking about currency exchange, and yet and still all of our lives are really dictated in many ways and ruled by how much of that conceptual framework we can encourage other people to believe we have. And even the way that money is traded and exchanged is just about energy. And so when I realized that, and I realized that very much so artwork functions in that very same way, where I might make something and it has no value when it's made, but your belief in it, you having a fancy dinner with fancy people in it and talking to other people about it, makes it valuable. And all of a sudden, other people hear about it, it becomes even more valuable. And then some people in another part of the world are like, hey, I heard there's something valuable over there. Can we partake in that? How do I get that? And, well, it's going to cost you this much. This much what? Well, we don't have that over there. And so I've recognized, for better and for worse, our concepts of rich and poor are literally just that. And when we say certain people are starving, it's a poor country, they don't have this, they don't have that, it's because it's more about influence and ideas than it is actually about anything material. And as you know, with all the protests that have been happening, there obviously there's a big debate over who can control that idea. And I think the more within art that we can challenge and the validity of fighting over these ideas, the more that we can push people to reimagine the world so that it's not about scarcity but about abundance, the more likely we are to create a world that we can all survive in. And so the idea of the board game Monopoly, which was about New Jersey, Atlantic City, New Jersey, is now it's a casino town that's failed. It's Monopoly is based about a failed casino town, and there's a Monopoly Hong Kong. so now we have we're playing these games based around all of this idea of fake money around a failed town, that was about scarcity. And I think there's a lot of metaphors in there where people, you pay the poor tax, you get out of jail free card, like your ability to navigate the world as a human being is dictated by how much of this idea people think you have. And that's pretty tragic when you really think about it. I think those of us who are somewhat privileged have had the benefit of someone else being able to tap into that awareness of like, oh yeah, it's just an idea. And I can hoard the idea, I can share the idea, I can hoard and share it. And if you've bought property in Hong Kong, you must know much more than I do how crazy that idea is.
Look at me.
I was talking to you, yeah, like you could literally have like an island somewhere else, and now you're on an island and you paid like, your place is like this big. So, but that's because the idea of Hong Kong, but also the idea of the value of having space in Hong Kong is worth that to you, and you'll work really hard and deal with people you sometimes hate, me excluded, of course, just so you can hold on to this space that is encapsulated in this idea. And so the show is really a metaphor, really, for our relationship to what's important. And so, of course, when you look at the works to the naked eye, you can see a little bit of the color on the color, but it's only after it's activated through a flash photograph or certain light that you can see, oh yeah, the money that's also there. And I don't know about you all, but even though it's not real money, I still, when I see it, I'm like, ooh. And so I've been really hoping to push and challenge like that sensation that around it. Also, the money changes also, which is also weird. You look at old money, you're like, wait, that's not worth anything anymore? People die for that. So I'm really hoping that the show, and I'm so honored that we were able to have the show, because I think when we first tried to put it up 7 or 8 months ago, right, it was shut down.
Yeah, it was supposed to be during Basel, Hong Kong.
Yeah, and I think it's way better now. So, and I'm just, I could go on and on. I love that, and Amanda, when did I call you? I called you in February, right?
Yeah.
You were in Taipei.
Yeah. In the middle of the, he called me at like 2 a.m. and I had just come home from like the club with Jazz.
Oh, okay.
And she was just like, what do you want?
Calling me, it's 2 a.m.
Do you know that Amanda has I realized, I had an epiphany that Amanda has a superpower, right?
Yeah.
Right, Amanda?
Incredibles?
Yeah, that's the one.
What's her name? Moira? Edna Mode.
And so, but your superpower, what's your superhero name, Amanda?
No, he can't hear you.
You're Edna from The Incredibles.
Edna Mode!
Edna Mode, who's that?
From The Incredibles.
Oh.
Designer in The Incredibles.
Oh, well, I gotta look that one up right now. Luca, get over here. My assistant Luca is saying, "Oh my God, that is not Amanda."
No, not visually.
No, that is visually.
Temperamentally.
Temperamentally, I forgot about that.
That's a huge compliment. Edna's iconic.
Wow. Well, because I thought she had another name, but I'll leave that one. I think Edna Mode is better. You are correct. But who is that sitting next to you? You look familiar, but it's small.
That's you.
Oh, hi.
This is Elaine from Christie.
This is Elaine from Christie's. You have a very
Hi.
interesting show. So how do you make
Thank you.
these?
We actually figured out how to, the material that stop signs are made out of. I started looking at them and I realized that they don't illuminate unless you're in the car with the headlights on. And I started to see that material and look at it more closely, and I realized that if you block out some of the light, you can actually make an image on it. And so then I found that material, which is obviously normally only an industrial material that's supposed to be outside for decades. And I was like, oh, that's pretty archival if we don't put it outside. If it can survive the sun for 10 years, it can pretty much survive anything. And then so I thought what it is, they're all like these little crystals in there. And when you take a flash photograph of the crystals illuminate because they're all in all these different angles. And so I realized it was a really perfect way to like hide an image within kind of a frame. And so the work that's in the viewing room is part of a more painterly series where I'm dealing with a lot of the same ideas that are in this show, but in a much more graphic way, both visually and using photographs more specifically to talk about protest movements and moments in the 20th century in Hong Kong and in mainland China. And again, those protests were almost always about people trying to control the people's lives with the money, with the idea of money. And where in a moment like this, where people are protesting all over the world, and the fact that Hong Kong is probably where a lot of the courage that people in New York and LA and Minneapolis got their courage from is pretty amazing, because we also saw in the umbrella protest, people were also referencing the Black Lives Matter, hands up, don't shoot protest gestures. And that we realized that the struggle for equal and human rights is a global struggle, and you don't have to speak the same language to actually understand the need to feel and be treated as valuable in society. So, and I've been wanting to talk a little bit about this idea of finite and infinite games. A finite game is a game that's for winners and losers. An infinite game is for the players, and it's about staying in a state of play. And what I love about being a part of the art world is it really is a game where you're really just trying to stay in the state of play, and the rules have to change in order to stay in the state of play. Colonialism was a finite game where it says like this property belongs to us, and you have to do things this way and speak this language, et cetera, et cetera. The forces of our cultures that withstand colonialism and fascism and fierce forms of communism and capitalism are part of the infinite game, which is the ancestral wisdom and ancestral knowledge that can't be translated into speech in any form. And so the idea that I'm really excited about is how we can apply joy and ancestral wisdom into action for building a greater society. And so Edna over there it has brought the Wide Awakes collaboration to Hong Kong, which is about illuminating this global awakening that we're all having, as more of us in the world are having more of a similar experience about valuing every opportunity we get to be with other people and every day that we get to have a clear breath. So I look forward throughout this exhibition to seeing how we can build off of this idea and share further. And I'm just really grateful. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have another question for Hank? Come on, Ben, ask a question.
Thanks, Edna. Hey, Hank, can you actually tell us more about, I actually really like the merch you have, the stuff you did with Drywall Studios. Can you tell us more about that? Like, how did that come about?
This guy, Sky Galletti, and Nick Diamond from Diamond Supply Company, they reached out to me, and they were really, I've been making merchandise for a while, but I'm not smart, so I just gave it away. And then people were like, you know what you should do? You should sell that. And I was like, wow, how do you do that? And for some reason, I couldn't get a Shopify account up or merchandise shop on my website. So the universe decided to send people to do it with me. So they showed up and they're like, what if we make skateboards? What if we do this? What if we do that? And I was like, yep, that sounds great. So I've been really just trusting the process and like in a state of acceptance, which has really been opening a lot of doors for me. And I suggest you try it. So if Amanda's being really bossy and tells you to do something, I would just say
That's
yes.
right, she's bossy. Everybody knows you're bossy.
I'm not bossy.
Oh, there you go.
She's always right, though.
And you're always right. Oh, and then one more thing. I do work with Sakai, so love the collab there.
Oh, great. What are we doing? What are we doing?
That's for spring. We'll blow it up for spring.
Well, connect us because I'm literally texting with Kenji, who's Kenji Olga, who there's a gallery where we're going to do a Wide Awakes exhibition.
Yeah, Masa. The mask.
At Masa, but it's happening like right now. I'm texting him this morning being like, what are we doing in Japan right now? So if you guys want to help, because we got to spread the love because they can't crush us all if we do it all over the world at the same time.
All right,
So,
we'll push.
What's your name?
It's Fed, like FedEx, Fed. Make it
Fed.
easy.
And so do you know Kenji?
I know Kenji, I know Sky, I know Masa, and
Oh, cool.
Jose.
You know, Hank.
Oh,
And
cool.
Hank, I
Well,
know you too.
now you know me. And so Jose has a show in Japan called The Awakening that's also maybe opening in October. And so we're also working with Drywall to make merchandise with that. So like, Fed, family, it's good to be with you. And please, I'm going to send, and also we all have code names. My code name is Mr. Beautiful.
Oh, okay.
Because I
Nice.
see the beauty in everything and everyone. So, so when you find out your superpower, your superhero, you can embody that, and people will treat you as you deserve to be treated. So, I want to just make sure that we quote because I have to go to another call, but I want to quote Edna as we leave. She says, "I never look back. I never look back, darling. It distracts me from the now."
That's a good quote.
So, or how about you need to wait? You need a new wait. What's that? It says, where does it go? You need a new suit. That much is certain. Oh yeah, that sounds like Edna. You can't. It's impossible. I'm far too busy.
That's you. That's you. That's impossible. I'm far too busy.
So ask me now before ask me now before I again become sane. You. Oh, wow, this is very, very, very much you.
Together. When I go to New York, we'll watch The Incredibles together. Me, you, Rue,
All right,
and
well, thank
Benji.
you all. I'll talk to you later. Well, we're going to do it with Ted and everybody else. Ciao.